Change Radio, the people's radio, changing lives, changing communities, changing ideas. Tune in to Change Radio for all your fresh and undiluted news in Isindebele, Shona, and English. 5 days a week from Monday to Friday.
Your Excellency, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa. Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, Your Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, Chairman of the Intra-African Trade Fair Advisory Council and former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, trade amongst ourselves as African nations is a baby conceived in the womb of our agreement, but a baby that is yet to be fully delivered through our actions. The African Continental Free Trade Area was ratified 11 months ago. But there remains much work to be done to turn Africa into an area where the goods and services from all African nations are traded freely in all African nations. There remain many obstacles to be lifted to reverse the fact that 85% of goods traded in Africa come from outside Africa. And one obstacle we must lift to close the gap between our trading dreams and our trading realities is the lack of information about what goods and services supplied in one nation have a market in another. The Intra-African Trade Fair goes a long way to lift this obstacle, and I invite you to visit the Malawi booth, where close to 30 of my country's captains of industry are ready to do business. But for each of the 30 businesses who have come with me here, there are 30,000 who have not. That is why I must say that if we really want to promote intra-African trade, then our aim must not be one intra-African trade fair in one country every 2 years, but 55 intra-African trade fairs in 55 African nations every year, and even some that are product-specific. And the second biggest obstacle we must lift to close the gap between trading policy and trading practice is the lack of access to the markets in our respective nations. To make intra-African trade a reality, we must make our border procedures intra-African, our transport infrastructure intra-African, our bus line, rail line, airline routes intra-African, our electricity distribution intra-African, our fiber and broadband connectivity intra-African, our investment policies intra-African, our industrialization and urbanization drives intra-African, and our shops intra-African. Africa cannot be a free trade area until, as member states, remove the obstacles that hinder Africans from trading freely across Africa. And when that happens, Africa will not just be free to trade, but free to demand a better seat at the table of nations. And that time is now. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremonies, Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, Your Excellency, President Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and fellow heads of state and government that are here today, Your Excellency, President Obasanjo, and other former presidents, head of states that are present here, Your Excellency, Sile Zikalala, Premier KwaZulu-Natal, representative of His Excellency, Mr. Musa Faki Mahamati, Chairperson of the African Union Commission and convener of the Intra-African Trade Fair. Distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to begin by thanking the President of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, for hosting this important fair. We appreciate the warm hospitality that has been extended to us here in the beautiful city of Durban. I'm delighted to participate in the official opening of the second Intra-African Trade Fair. This event is critical to our continent as we progress towards integrating into the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is extremely important to the development of our individual countries through trade and investment. We look forward to the opportunities that will arise from a single market for goods and services aimed at boosting trade and investment for the mutual benefit of our countries on the continent. I shall repeat this: for the mutual benefit of our individual countries on our continent. We must ensure that the African Free Trade Area is meaningful to all our people across Africa, meaningful for inclusive economic growth, jobs, and business opportunities in our individual countries. Because if we don't achieve that, it will be difficult to sustain the free trade area. Benefits must be seen by our people in the individual countries. Trade is an important tool for economic growth in our nations as a prerequisite for development in our countries, on our continent, as I've said. It is a tool that will create wealth and lift many of our citizens out of poverty on a continent as rich as ours. Zambia is committed to enhancing intra-Africa trade, and this is evidenced by the presence of the political leaders, government leaders here today, and our business community. Your Excellencies, there is enormous potential for trade and investment amongst us Africans, before we think of other continents. It is important that we see the value of working together as a continent, as a people, as businesses. Our countries are endowed with natural resources which can be used to create sustainable regional value chains to grow our economies. We must move beyond the overstated story of our potential and move towards actualization of this potential. The African narrative must move from poverty, instability, and aid to investment, trade, and indeed stability. With stability, we can achieve a lot. We can focus our limited resources towards trade and investment to offer opportunities to our people, especially young people, As you know, our population dynamic is much occupied by the young population, and they need a lot from us: education, job opportunities, business opportunities. Your Excellencies, the implementation of the tenets of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area would take our continent to significant levels of cooperation as envisaged by our forefathers. We heard about Kwame Nkrumah here, and many others who basically saw this vision of Africa working together much earlier than most of the people did across the world. So ourselves, our own people, our own leaders, our own forefathers understood how Africa would be better if it worked together amongst itself and, of course, its people. It's very important. The implementation of the tenets, therefore, of the Africa Free Trade Area must look at the importance of cooperation, importance of working together, the synergy that arises by working together. And I think it will deliver much stronger benefits, which are also sustainable. Its tenets are key to enhancing our trade, development, and most importantly, uniting our continent at a people-to-people level, business-to-business level, because that's what will entrench unity on our continent. If our people begin to know each other, to understand their talents, diverse talents, and how they can pull these talents together to benefit their populations across our continent. Your Excellencies, the Intra-African Trade, Intra-African Trade Fair agenda is an affirmation of our abiding belief that Africa and the world at large can be a better place for all of us if we work towards achieving our common goals, and there are many of these. There is no better way to connect with one another than through trade and investment, in addition to already our existing and known historical, culture, and even family ties, I dare say so, including President Ramaphosa. Shared names. I'm sure you're not aware that so much similarity in that score, such as Nongoma here in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa and Nangoma in Zambia. It cannot be a coincidence. Absolutely cannot be a coincidence. There is untapped potential for enhancing intra-Africa trade through regional integration. Our government is committed to supporting initiatives in this trade fair that seek to showcase trade and investment opportunities. Your Excellencies, this Intra-African Trade Fair should spur conversations about what is working and what needs to be improved, particularly in the midst of the challenges that we all face in our individual countries. Specifically, it is true that none of our countries have been spared from the negative impact of the coronavirus pandemic, as well as the effects of climate change, which we must pay particular attention to as we seek to integrate, as we seek to develop our individual countries and our continent as a whole. As state actors ourselves, I'm talking about leaders in this hall, I'm talking about those who run governments, those who drive policies in our countries, on our continent. The free trade area should identify key priorities and the infrastructure that will be required to efficiently and effectively trade amongst ourselves, to facilitate trade amongst ourselves. And it's important, such priorities, I shall repeat, it is important that such priorities should include basics such as ensuring that the safety of our drivers driving goods within our countries and across boundaries are safe. This is a small-looking issue, but very, very important in promoting trade and investment, because to move goods across our countries, we do need to ensure that as drivers and other such personnel move within our countries, they are kept safe, they are protected, then it will be easier to facilitate trade amongst our countries. With greater cooperation, Your Excellencies, and alignment, it will not be far-fetched for every corner of our continent to become connected and accessible, and for the social and economic development of our people to be possible, to be accelerated much faster than most of us assume, because the economic aspect, the trade aspect, is such an imperative that one cannot ignore it, because it does affect the welfare of our individual citizens in our countries. We need to start with the most strategic infrastructure to give us the required leap forward as we work together. This is a time for us all to catalyze Africa, shift Africa's emphasis from negatives towards prosperity, towards stability. Our individual strengths and various competitive advantages are not a cause for division, absolutely not, but to be leveraged for the development of our continent working together. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I close, I wish to commend the African Export-Import Bank for an excellent presentation that we've just heard. The African Union, the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, and of course, our host, the South African government, led by President Ramaphosa, for putting together this platform that brings together governments and businesses from across Africa and the world in search of trade and investment opportunities to benefit, once again, our people in our countries on our continent. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention.
Your Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, Your Excellencies, heads of state and government here present, Your Excellency Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Your Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Chairman of IATF Advisory Council, Honorable Wamkele Mene, Secretary General, African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to add my voice to those who spoke before me in conveying our wholehearted appreciation and gratitude to our host, President Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, and the people of South Africa for the warm welcome and hospitality accorded to us since our arrival in this beautiful city of Durban. Likewise, we extend our sincere gratitude and appreciation to the government of the Republic of South Africa, African Export-Import Bank, African Union Commission, and African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat for organizing this event. Excellencies, I wish to convey sincere apologies from Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, who was supposed to be here with you today. However, due to unavoidable circumstances, she could not make it. She has asked me to convey her best wishes for the successful staging of the second Intra-African Trade Fair 2021. Excellencies, the United Republic of Tanzania has always been at the forefront in spearheading the spirit of Pan-Africanism. This second Intra-African Trade Fair has come at a time when the world is struggling for economic recovery from the effects of COVID-19. Therefore, the theme of the trade fair, which is building bridges for successful AfCFTA, is timely and pertinent to the current efforts undertaken by governments to strengthen their economies through the implementation of this agreement. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is a flagship program of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, of boosting intra-African trade, both in goods and services. It is gratifying to note that since the signing of the agreement on 21st March 2018, 54 member states have signed the agreement, while 41 have so far ratified it. You may wish to note that the United Republic of Tanzania has been part of this process and is among the countries which have signed and ratified the agreement. I believe that this is an opportune time for all of us to see the great potential and opportunity for Africa to transform its economy through implementation of African Continental Free Trade Area. Excellencies, as we have witnessed here today, the second Intra-African Trade Fair brings together policymakers and business community from Africa and beyond to share trade, investment, and market information. Furthermore, it provides a platform to discuss challenges and find common solutions to support intra-African trade and the economic integration of the continent. Therefore, it is important that we make the maximum use of the opportunity of attending this trade fair. Excellencies, it is a pity to see that Africa trades more with the rest of the world, even on goods and services which can easily be produced or offered by our local entrepreneurs. This is mostly due to infrastructure challenges to link our continent, insufficient financing, and inadequate productivity. In this situation, it is apparent that we need to exert more efforts in addressing these challenges. We should keep on moving while resolving them on the way, taking into account the fact that time is not on our side. Excellencies, in an effort to address the infrastructure challenges, the United Republic of Tanzania is continuing to rehabilitate major ports, construct a standard gauge railway line to connect with neighboring countries which are landlocked, and develop a major energy infrastructure in the southern part of the country, which was alluded to earlier. It is our hope that these projects will contribute immensely in boosting inter-African trade through the implementation of the AfCFTA. Excellencies, as I conclude, I wish to reaffirm the United Republic of Tanzania's commitment in the implementation of the AfCFTA for the benefit and prosperity of African countries and our people as a whole. Thank you very much for your attention.